Watercolor Society. And as you know, the San Diego Watercolor Society is over 50 years old, and we're one of the more established art organizations in the country. And we are extremely fortunate that we are able to support nationally known artists by having them come and do workshops for us, as well as to do a demonstration on our member meeting, which is this evening. And this week, or this time, we have David Lowenberg here, and he's very well known. He's published throughout the world. He's exhibited. He's known for California Vibe.
California Vibe.
And can you tell us what that means and what that's all about?
California Vibe is an expressive portraiture style in terms of color, not natural color, but expressive colors. And I do that by following the value pattern across the face. And it's also I utilize expressive means of applying paint to paper. I mean,
what does that mean exactly?
Oh, I use splatters, I use straws, I use syringes. I will mop and
do you use paintbrushes?
Yes, and I use cat's tongue. I love this cat's tongue. I use a syringe, believe it or not. Oh, there went some water. I hope I didn't squirt you. A straw. Nothing new about this, but California Vibe is to get a portrait that is super expressive, and it also has to start with a super expressive style of photograph. So this is a painting that was done from a photograph of one of my students I used to teach at Sacramento City College. And I love the way she put her hand up to her face and closed her eye. And then also, here's another one that one of my workshop students did. So, he's looking up. This photograph was taken in bright daylight, so we got super dramatic value. So with the California Vibe, the expression starts with the reference photograph, and then it goes from there in terms of color and texture.
So do you select certain people that you like to paint, or is it the way that you photograph it?
I think it's mostly the way that I photograph. And I have a background in photography, so I know how to go around the subject, different angles. I can tell my subjects different things, like I'd like the hand up to your face, or don't look at the camera, but look at me. Don't move your head, just look at me. So I like to get evocative types of facial expressions and dramatic lighting on the face.
Yeah, look, here is an example of
another one of I used to teach at Sacramento City College, so I had lots of built-in models for me to photograph.
And this one is really lovely. Another good example. And this is the California Vibe.
That's definitely California. You can see the super bright, saturated colors. I love color.
So tell us a little bit about you as an artist. How long have you been an artist, or what are some
I have been an artist ever since I could pick up a pencil. When I was in 3rd grade, the student nurse contacted my folks. They said, little David, he doesn't use any colors. He just likes to use pencil. And my parents laughed at that. And a few years ago, I thought about that, and I thought, you know what? I'm all about value. I'm all about dramatic lighting. So it's value that I think most, especially representational art, is built upon. And there's a saying, value does the work and color gets all the credit.
So tell us about some of the publications.
Oh, some of the publications, yeah. It really started about 2014. I started to get more on the scene. I was approached by The Art of Watercolor, WATERCOLOUR. It's a European publication. So they did a 6-page article on my California Vibe style. And then shortly after that, I was approached by, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Batik Desar. And same thing, they featured my California Vibe style. And then I've been in a British publication. I was one of several artists, Quarto Publications. it was an encyclopedia of watercolor techniques. I've been in magazines. I've been in Plein Air magazine. Just recently, I'm in the June issue of Watercolor Artists, and this December I will be in Watercolor Artists talking about small pochade study type of watercolor painting in preparation for one's final painting.
David,
yes.
Your credentials are incredible.
Thank you.
We are incredibly thrilled and excited to have you here.
Oh, and I'm excited to be here. San Diego Watercolor Society. I'm happy.
And tonight, what are you going to be doing?
Oh, tonight I am going to be doing Ron, this gentleman, who has taken several of my workshops. And what I do is I will take the tracing. I'm going to use another example in my process. So I take the photographs, and then I take some tracing paper, see-through tracing paper or vellum. I put that on top of the photograph. This photograph is put on my studio light table, and then I put tissue paper on top, and I end up with a contour line drawing. This is my master drawing because what my California Vibe style is all about, I never do a one-off painting. It's about fun, it's about exploration, it's about interesting ways, like I said, to apply paint to paper and to play with colors. So I do mostly quarter sheets. And on this one, what I was playing with is I used tape to do some funny shapes around the border of the painting. And here at the San Diego Watercolor Society, I'm going to be doing a demonstration. So this shows the tape. Some of it's torn, some of it comes in, there are gaps. So when I'm done painting, it's going to have just this wonderful border. Again, it's all about doing a portrait that's different, that's got entertainment value, that's got excitement. It's all about that.
David, we will let you get started.
Thank you, thank you. Pleased to be here. I wanted to do, and you know, as we paint, the more we paint, the more I think our own personality comes out. And I like expressiveness. It's not just enough to get an image of somebody. I just want something different. I want vibrant colors. I want textures. And it all starts out with a photograph. I just retired from teaching at Sacramento City College. I was there as an adjunct art professor for 19 years. So I had lots of students in my classes, potential people to paint. So this young lady. You don't see that okay? Yeah. Let me move this out of the way for a moment. So anyway, I forget her name. So what I would do is I would take them out of the class, I would take her out of the classroom like during a break. I think she was in my watercolor class. I taught drawing, watercolor, pen and ink, acrylic. So I took her out and in the bright sun, because what I look for is I'm looking for a lot of dramatic value. The most difficult thing to paint is somebody in flat light, like maybe on a cloudy day or inside with just flat light and no strong value contrast. So she was outside the classroom, and then something evocative. She had wonderful hair. She had this little bun here, and I said, okay, look this way, but turn don't turn your head, just turn your eye and look at me. I do that a lot. So that's what happened with this. This student, more mature student, and actually she's a wonderful photographer. This is a photograph that she took of herself. So eyes closed, looking down, hand on face. So again, what I do is she sent me a JPEG, I put that into my computer, and I like to turn it into a black and white photograph. because you know, it's all about value. That's very important, getting those values. And then I don't want to be too overly influenced by the color that I see. I want to be able to invent it and put in expressive colors. So that's what I did here. By the way, I found these about a year ago. And the thing about California Vibe is I work primarily on quarter sheets. I think that's large enough. You know, a 3-inch mat around and then your frame. How big do you want a painting? So, plus the intimidation factor. If you know, I play around. I do things, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I just go forth, I'm very brave, I just do it, because that's the only way you're going to discover things. So if the painting goes south, oh well, throw it away, get another quarter sheet. You know, you can get 4 sheets out of a full sheet. And I even will take quarter sheets sometimes, and I do pochade paintings. Small little pocket paintings. So I'll cut this in half, and now I have an 1/8 sheet, 5.5 by 11. This is 11 by 15. So I'll play with things. So I found this at a local art store. It was in the fabric section. It really squirts out the water. So you can see here, you see all these little white lines? Can you see that? All this stuff? It just, can you see it right here? All that. That's me doing this. Water's going everywhere. Water's going all over the entire painting. But I do this when the painting's dry, and then I have my paper towels, and I sop off all the excess, and I'm left with these lines. So any type of tool, you know, there's nothing new with a straw. We've seen this 1,000 times. But I incorporate it. I'm into my straw period. I call these spider legs. So look, you can see it here, you can see it here, and over here. I don't want to go too crazy with stuff. I don't like to get too gimmicky. But just enough a vibrant color and just enough little textural things to make it interesting. Some subtle splatters. I like to use Conte crayon sometimes and get some sketchy line work going. I haven't done this too much. This is a combination. This is a monochromatic study that I did of one of my students. And then I thought, well, what if I took a flat brush and took some acrylic and just pulled down these little rectangular shapes? That would be kind of interesting. You know, I don't know if I'll ever do this again, but I'm constantly playing. And then this is what I'm going to do today. This is one of my students. Here's the photograph. So in my California Vibe workshop, and I've done it here, I give pre-workshop instructions before I'm even here, before I even come to the workshop. And I say, okay, I want you to take your subject outside in some bright sunlight. If the fog's gonna come in off the ocean, it's cloudy, okay, take a picture inside, turn off all the lights, have a bright light, and take a selfie or have somebody take a photograph. And move that camera around different angles. Pretend like you're an Academy Award-winning cinematographer and get some action going. Maybe some expression. You don't always have to have expression, but just get an interesting photographs. Pick your favorite one, make a black and white print, and then, now this is a different subject, but it shows the process. So I have this gentleman, I took a photograph of him, made a black and white print. Then I put this on my light table, tape it down. I tape tissue paper, see-through tracing paper that you can get at the art stores, or see-through vellum. You put that on top. You don't do a lot of tracing. You do just enough tracing to see the structure of the head and the value shapes. When I paint anything, I'm not painting things, I don't name them, I'm just painting value shapes. It could be a landscape, it could be a face, it could be a figure, it could be a still life. I'm painting value shapes. So this becomes my master tracing, my master outline. So again, the intimidation factor is limited. It's just not there because I never do a one-off. I want to play. I want to do one after another until I get bored and I go to another subject. So from this master, I can put this in a plain paper copier, blow it up, reduce it to whatever painting size. I'm probably going to graduate to photographing these and putting it on a zip drive or on my computer and plugging that into these new digital projectors. They are fabulous, and that's the way I'm going to go in the future. And I can save all my photographs and all my master tracings on my computer and on a zip file or a thumb drive. So, I teach in my workshops, you don't need a lot of brushes. I do have some brushes. I got a little deer hair liner brush that I do lots of little squiggles on for embellishments. I like to paint with this brush a lot. It comes to a nice point. I can do fine details, fine little details, but then I can press down and really mop the paint on. Spray bottle, of course, we all use these to get runs and to move the paint around. There's my straw. You know, these two, either a round or a cat's tongue, I do 95% of my painting just with this, and then a few specialty brushes. And that's all you need. Why would I want a little tiny, why would I want a number 6 when I can do fine little detail with a good point? And then if I want to mop, I'll press down and move that paint around. And I like a flat. I like a flat a lot to take off paint. And then tape. So here's one before I came here last week. You know, I like to have a border around my paintings, and I'm sure a lot of you do too. So, you know, you do this, you do this, you do this. You paint, take it off. You got a nice white border. It's kind of like a built-in frame or mat. But then I thought, well, I'm not going to do it now. Why don't I do something like this and break up the frame? And look what happened. I think that's so cool. So this is going to be my model for my colors. I didn't want to invent. I didn't want to invent and start with all new colors because quite honestly, not a lot, but every so often I'll use colors and I'm done and they look ugly. Especially if you use like a lot of yellows. And I like yellow. Look at all the yellow I put in. But you get too much yellow and it's ugly. But again, I'm working on quarter sheets. And I'm playing around, and if it goes bad, I'll toss out, I'll put it in the circular file, pull out a new quarter sheet, and start all over again. And I've always got my master drawing. Don't have to draw. And by the way, when I draw in such a way that it does look like, I'm not trying to fool anybody, but I do want it to look like a hand sketch. Look at these lines I put. You know how you do preliminary blocking in. Well, that's what I've done here. So let's get started. So it looked like I'm not going to copy this exactly. I'm going to take a little bit of orange. Oh, I use this little brush for signing only. Yeah, can you see that? Thank you. So a little bit of orange and a wee bit of ochre. I like to separate my colors. I can go from orange to ochre or in between. Let's put a little bit of ochre here. Pure ochre. There we go. Okay. And I think I want a little bit of this violet. I had a little ochre on there, but that's okay. That's going to be a nice mixture. Okay. I got a lot of Daniel Smith colors. I picked these up. I was doing 2 workshops at Daniel Smith a few weeks ago. So they gave me a bunch of colors. Nice. And I like to have colors on my palette ready to go. Now I'm going to take one of my favorite colors, Opera. I think this is Winsor Newton Opera. They were the first to come out with that, I believe. Now there's a lot of different companies that do Opera. And a little bit of phthalo. Oh yeah. Now let's see, get started. Oh, my photograph. Where's my photograph? I have that. I have that in front of me. I'm going to put this here. There we go. I put I here, so I remember that's where the I is. I'm feathering it a little here, where his eyebrow is. I dipped in a little bit of phthalo. Okay, David, you said you're going to stick with the colors. Stick with it. I'll keep it fairly warm. Let's get a little bit of, there we go. A bit more red. I'll oftentimes dip right into the well and mix my colors on the paper. I'm working on this area right now. So far, I've been working with the tip of my brush because I've had to do a little bit of feathering. Let's get back to this. Oh yeah. Let's get a little into ochre. That's not my phone, I promise, not my phone.
Can you tell us a little bit about the colors you picked? So you've got some kind of complementary things going with the orange, yellow, and the...
You know what? About the only thing I can say is there's some reflection in his eye socket. So I don't talk too much about the color. You can see the color, and I'm pretty intuitive, and I'm absolutely horrible about color theory. I'm horrible. I do it intuitively. But, so the only thing is I can say I'm using warm, and I'm following the value pattern. Like I said, there's some reflected color in the upper part of his eye socket. So this is what's important, consistency of the paint relating to the value. So if you have a light value, your consistency is going to be a lot of water and not too much pigment. It's going to be the consistency of tea. You've heard of this before. Then as your values get darker, more pigment to the ratio of pigment to water increases. Now you get the consistency of milk. And then you can go to cream, and finally you can go to butter for really dark values. And I'll sometimes dip right into the well. Now I just have mostly water on my brush. There's a lot of reflected light here. I'll make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay, this is all still wet too. Sometimes I like hard edges, but I keep going. Put a little red in here. I'm pressing down on the brush now. So I'm painting a shape. Simply a shape. Now, if I do use one color in one place, I do like to distribute it. So I'm mixing up some more of the violet that I had. Get a little more yellow ochre in there. Starting to get a little dark in that eye and against the bridge of the nose. And I'll let that dry. I believe in moving across the painting. Don't get stuck in one spot. Now I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to get a little bit of yellow in there too. Now as we come out, this is cream. There's a lot of pigment there. I'm taking a lot of pigment off. This is still wet. So now what I'm going to do, I do want a little bit of yellow. Okay. So now as we come out, a little more water, it gets lighter. I really wanted to get it lighter. It's more like milk now, maybe even a little cream. There we go. We're going to get a little darker now. Let's get a little bit of red in there, a little bit of opera. I love opera. There. Yeah, if you have any questions, please, I'm used to talking and painting at the same time because I had to learn that in the classroom. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
There.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it a normal practice of yours to paint on dry paper?
Oh, that's a good question. I mostly go wet on dry, but sometimes I do like to do, ooh, nice, wet on wet. So I vary, I really do. I'm going to take some of the moisture off my brush. I've got like an alizarin red. I'm just going to go in there.
Plan your background, or do you wait?
Well, you know what? Right now, I want to do the background. I'm going to take a break from that. Like I said, I like to move around. I'm not going to go quite to the background yet. We'll get this light back. No, not a lot of pigment. Not a lot of pigment. definitely, there we go. This is definitely milk. No, not even milk, it's tea consistency. Very, very light. I'm going right over the nostril. I teach, there's no, sometimes you don't want to do any unnecessary borders. Why am I going to go around that nostril when I'm going to put a lot of buttery dark color on it later on? Try not to parse your painting into little bits and pieces. Oh yeah. Get that nose going. I only paint on 140. And by the way, I have, a number of years ago, I convinced the California Watercolor Society, and I hope they still have that, that you don't need to, what I'll do is I'll take this 140 and it may wave a little, I'll spray it on the back and flatten it out. And then I use golden, and I think Kmart makes it, varnish, matte finish, with UV protectant built into it. A layer, let it dry, another layer, let it dry, one more layer, let it dry. You don't need stinking glass. I hate glass. Can I hear an amen? We don't need glass. And also, once it's nice and flat, you can get a panel board, or what do they call that? A cradle board. You can get cradle board, and you get this gluey medium from Golden, and you put it on, and you put your painting on top of the cradle board, and some books on top, and let it dry overnight. It looks just like, it's like an oil painting on stretched canvas. Okay, yeah, I want to do the background. Oh, I'm using a lot of fun colors. This is Primatech, Daniel Smith, well, what's it called? Serpentine Genuine. Woo! Phthalo Blue. Quinn Rose. Yes, I just bought this. I used it today. I wasn't sure about it. Duochrome Hibiscus. It's the color of bubble gum, and it's kind of shiny. And of course, Opera. Oh, and this manganese blue hue. I love the old manganese that could kill you. That stuff was great. It granulated like crazy. But now Daniel Smith is doing all these Primatechs, and they all granulate. Okay, I'm going to take some phthalo, and let's add some yellow in it. And can I get some clean water, please? There we go, there we go, nice yellow. Get some green. Okay, the beard is a white negative space. So let's just go in there with the tip. I love painting with this cat's tongue. So I'm going to feather out so there's some whiskers coming out. This is definitely between milk and cream. A little phthalo. There. Look at that, nice whiskers. Nice whiskers. Now I'm going to segue into I think this is, does that look like cobalt? I ate into his cheek a little, but that's okay. I do an edge like this, And while it's still wet, I can pull that out a little. Thank you. Got to babysit it a little. Okay. And I got this. I think this is like a turquoise. Oh, I got to be careful with that nose. Ah, look what it did. I knew that. Okay, I can get around that. I can get around that by taking the water off my brush and just having butter. I don't like to get too buttery. I'm going to move this around with water. Let's get a little turquoise in there too, though, since I started some of that. I don't want it too heavy. I'm just using water now to move it around. Water. Let's get some more turquoise. Yeah, I like that. Oh, here we go again. Let's be careful. Flowing in. Let's really dry up the tip of that nose. And you know what, even if I miss that and I got a little blue in there, you know, I'll use something like a rollerball white pen with gouache in it. Or maybe I'll use white Conte crayon. Or I could use an X-Acto knife and do a little scraping, or I can use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser Original. You know, watercolor is not prone to fixing and correcting, but there are things that you definitely can do. Now this is his eyebrow.
Models ever get to see some of your finished paintings?
Oh, they do. They do. In fact, sometimes I'll walk up to people on the street. Here, let's pass around some cards if you want a card. And I hand them a card so they don't know, so they know that I'm not some sort of pervert. And I say, hey, can I take your picture? And you know, I'll send you a JPEG. And that works every time. Wait, what was that? Could you speak a little louder?
Paint with so many colors.
I do.
You squeeze out fresh paint for all the colors for whenever you start to paint.
Sometimes I have to clean up my palette and start all over again. Otherwise, it all starts to mix and it gets dirty. I think I've answered.
She was wondering if it was all fresh, that you're using fresh paint all the time.
It's pretty fresh paint. Oh yeah. I've gotten a little dirty in here, but what I'll do is I'll take a paper towel and I'll slop some of that out, and that seems to work. Now we've got a cast shadow here. Let's go up. I'm using a little bit of burnt sienna. And a little bit, I don't know what this is, it's a dark blue. So that's gonna give me the nostril.
You said you don't usually do the half sheets much anymore, you're doing the quarters.
I thought I should paint a little bigger for this demo, but normally everything I do is on quarter sheets.
So even the competitive ones that are going to shows or
What's that?
even the competitive ones when you're going to shows or
Oh, you know what? My feeling is, if something's painted well, why does it have to be big? I was in a show in Bangkok a few years ago, and it was a quarter sheet, and I thought that it looked good, and they put a nice big mat around it, and I have a thing about people doing pretty boring portraits, but they make up for it by going large. Because, I mean, after all, it is imposing. This is where the upper lip and the lower lip meet. Now I'm going to come back to the eye and do some darker values, but first I want to get the large value shapes in there.
It's a nice cat's tongue. What brand do you use?
What brand is the cat's tongue? I don't know, but you know, there's a lot of them out there. You just want to get a good quality brand. This is so old. I have no idea.
Honestly, I've never used a cat's tongue.
Okay, let's go. I'm going to move around now. Actually, I do want to finish this up. This cast shadow.
You always start with the eyebrows and the eye.
I do gravitate to the to eyes, yes. You know, eyes are windows of the soul, so fascinating. Okay, there's that. And I'll go back and I'm going to have to darken that. Let me get this a little bit darker. Okay. T. More T.
Can you tell the audience what the white spots are called?
Holidays. Holidays. Holidays come from the age of sail. When the sailors had to go, they would go up and they would tar the lines, so they wouldn't be eaten up by the salt. It would protect the lines on the ship. And then on Sunday, on the Sabbath, no work. That was a day of rest. But Monday, you'd go back and you had to go back to those lines and to those parts of the lines that you hadn't yet tarred, and those were called holidays. I don't know if I like that. I'm going to do a little mixing on the paper. I want to soften that just a little. I got butter. Look at that butter on my brush. Now I want to do, let's get a little burnt sienna. Do that crease. Now I'm getting a little bleed here, but I like that. Sometimes unexpected events occur. I think they're called happy accidents. I hate that term. I call them serendipitous events. Make it more serious. Not a happy accident. Got a little too. I'm going to take off. I try not to pat. If I'm going to take off paint, I'll do it mostly with my brush. Okay.
Why don't you pat?
Well, I see people patting like this, and it just makes the painting just go dead. Now I'm going crazy. This is where the painting can go bad. You know what I mean? But what the heck? No pain, no gain. Let's keep this a little more on the violet side. Definitely lots of thick paint. Because it's a very deep, shadowy area here. I'm slowly building up the contrast. What if we use a little earth tone here? Would that hurt? I don't think that hurt. Okay, now I gotta be careful. I'm going around the beard now, that negative shape. I'm gonna have a little bit of phthalo and green here. Okay, feather it with the tip of my brush. Let's get a little more green in there.
And do you typically paint flat on the surface?
Yeah, I paint flat. I mean, at my studio back in Sacramento, I have a drafting table, but it's one of those drafting tables that you can do this smooth tilt to it. So if I do want to make a run, either I can tilt the drafting table or pick up the paper. I do like the drafting table. And if I do get real tired and I want to sit, I have a high stool so I can still be down on it. I'm always amazed at Charles Reed. He always seems to be painting on at least a 45-degree angle. He's not, this is his last season doing workshops or traveling. Okay. I'll often point. Otherwise I get lost. Where am I? also don't use a hair dryer. And the only reason why I have a hair dryer wherever the hell it went was because if I do a demo, you know, it makes the demo go faster, but I'm still reluctant to do it because, you know, I'm painting real hard right now. I'm concentrating, and I like to see the paint dry by itself. I don't like to force it. I like to see them, you know, the pigments move around. The best definition I've heard of watercolor is you're controlling the flood. So I don't want to interrupt the flood. So, and the other advantage of not using a hair dryer, a little bit of green here, is that I will stop. I don't do most of my paintings all in one go. I'll stop and I'll do something else because I get tired. It's a lot of concentration. So I stop and I do something else, you know, fill up the dishwasher or do some communication on my computer, and then come back to it later on with fresh eyes. I think that's important. Okay, just a wet brush, definitely tea, very light. So I've got that crease, I've got this crease. Let's get back to the eye. Let me deepen this in phthalo. And some alizarin red. Now let's go back in here. Really build up this contrast. I need to do. I'm too close to this. What the hell's going on? I think the eyes are coming up. What I'll do in my studio is I will take this down and I'll put it on the floor and look at it. Or I've got shelves and I'll put it on the shelf. Right now I'm so close, it's kind of hard to tell what the hell's going on. Getting some of the wrinkles. Okay, and I like to move around, so now I'm going to go back whoop, to the mouth. Let's see, where am I? A little orange in there. There we go. Can I get some more paper towels? I use a lot of paper towels. Oops. This is serendipitous event if I ever saw it. But that looks okay. I don't want to have a hard edge on that upper lip. And this black, this dark value is way too dark. So, let's take some of that off. I don't mind a little bit of green. It was just too dark. Thank you. I'm going to darken this a little bit more. Okay, I'll let that be for a little bit. More, thank you. Okay, now I got some dark right around here. Goes right around. Okay, back to the beard area. So it's got a little bit of goatee here. and then some tea right underneath, and it fades out into white of the beard. Some down here. This comes down like this. You want to train your eye to see shapes. All about shapes, value shapes. Okay, that's getting there. Okay, underneath the beard. Let's go back there. Underneath. Yes, I will have to clean up my palette. It's getting really, really dark. Like some mud.
Do you use strictly transparent paint, or are you open to anything?
I'm open to anything, but I do like fairly transparent. I like raw sienna sometimes instead of yellow ochre, and I like azo yellow and bismuth yellow. They're very nice and yellow and transparent. But other than that, I don't think, because you can get transparency with anything as long as you follow, I think, as long as you follow the values. And you're going to get most of your transparency from, tea almost up to cream. You're going to see the white of the paper come through. I'm laying it on thick with this. Look at that. I want some color to come in here. This is still wet. I'm going to have to, well, maybe if I take some of the water off, I can go back in there. Yeah, that's going to work. There. Okay. Oh, lower lip. Lower lip. Let's take some tea. Not enough water. Gotta have water. Just a little bit of a highlight right here. There. And then this little dark area right here, I believe, is important. Let's take the water off my brush because I don't want it to blend out too much. I'm going to put just a little bit. Yep. Right down into the goatee. See that little bit helps the lower, to define the lower lip. Okay, now I'm starting to get too messy. And look at this. This is horrible. Okay. Just a blush of tone. Keep on giving me the. Oh, bless you, bless you. I need these towels. I can't. Now this is a channel of dark I want. Okay. That's an important, nice dark value. Another little bit of a glaze here. Yeah, that's getting there. Sometimes I'll do a little bit of this. A little graffiti. Doesn't hurt. This is some Pasafazul. Okay. Am I running out of time?
Not now.
I'm not? Oh God. I'm not running out of time?
Paper towels.
I'm running out of paper towels.
Yeah, walk back there, take a look.
The shadow on his nose is much darker in the picture. Are you going to darken yours? Shadow.
What's that?
The shadow on his nose looks so much darker. The nostril area looks really dark in the photograph. And it's much lighter in sound of the paint. On the nose.
What, do you think
Oh, not on the
this
nose, the actual nose.
is too dark?
No, I'm wondering if you're going to make it darker. It looks light. To me, it looks light.
Around the nostril.
Compared to the photo.
Yeah.
The midnight, but can't see. There.
Not there, the whole
Underneath the
nose.
nose.
All the nose, no, all the top of the nostril, the top of the nostril.
It would be all apparent.
Oh, you know what I lost? You know what I lost? I lost this highlight.
Yeah.
I can't get it back.
But if everything else was darker, you'd have it back, right?
Pardon?
If everything else was darker, you'd have it back.
Yeah, you know what I do with that? I would get a magic eraser after this is all dry, and I mask around it. And then I pull off that paint. Is there a magic eraser in the house? But well, look what's happening.
So it's because of all these tricks you're able to stop when you're Is that true? Because I like the idea.
What's that?
Being able to stop and then come back to it.
Oh yeah, okay, so the question is, yeah, I'm getting tired now. You know what I mean? I need to stop. Absolutely. But I told myself I want to finish most of it. Right here, that needs to be darker. But normally, yes, normally I would stop right now. Now here's a little wet on wet that I think is working. Oh, watch out.
It was a little over
See, I'm going around the goatee now. This doesn't look right. Oh, I know why, because I'm tilting it. I think I need to eat into that just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now, yeah, the beard needs some more work. There's my magic eraser. Okay. It's got some tone underneath because the light's coming from above, so we want to get rid of these hard white. Okay. And right through here, what do you think? You're looking at the beard? Looks like a beard. Now the other thing I do is I do have that, what did we call that? That was a Signo Uniball. Signo Uniball pen. They're great. So what I would do, and it gives you a beautiful opaque white line, I would take that Signo and I would do a few little curly cute, look how they turn and twist. I would do that with the Signo Uniball. The Signo Uniball. Let's go back. Now I want to go to the forehead. Let's get some of that done.
Would you put the page down, please?
Yeah, we can see the top.
Mo better?
Yeah, that's great.
Much more better. Oh, and then I want to take the tape off. Hey, look at this, cad red. No, it's not quite cad red. It's no, that's cad red, I think. Let's take a little cad red. Cad red. Cad red. Don't overdo it, Dave. You're going to screw it up. And get over enthusiastic. I don't think any of his hair. Ooh. I gotta let that dry. I gotta let that dry.
When you see what the picture looks like, photo,
Can you see it?
a little further down.
Down.
There you go. Oh, it's got hair. It's got hair. Yeah, it's got hair. Wow. Are you including the hair?
No, the hair's out of the picture. I can do the wrinkles, but I can't do it yet because it's not dry. Well, actually, I could. I could because I learned years ago. I learned a nice trick from Tony Couch. Yeah, I want to reveal it by taking the tape off. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No big deal. No big deal. Uh-oh. An unhappy accident. That does soften the cheek a little there. That's not too bad. How many of you have used a kneaded eraser? I mean a magic eraser. Everybody uses that. I'm not too worried about this because I know I can fix it. But it just keeps flowing in, it won't stop. Too much water. Stop it, stop it. Okay, so what was I going to do? Oh, I know. Let's get the hair dryer. And then let's get some tape. Okay. Everything's turning blue. Try it again. That's almost enough, I think. Let's get it. I really want it hot right here. I really want to get right down to the white of the paper. There we go. And then what we'll do, so I'm painting the whole painting with just a cat's tongue. Let's, I was asking the first day in class, or in the workshop, whether there was a fire extinguisher handy, just in case one of those airliners went into the building. But they're not allowed to do that, are they?
Tell them where you were at lunch.
Oh, I went outside to have lunch. No socialization for me. I went outside with my camera. I sat down and I was doing videos of the planes going. I'm an airliner nut. I went to the Boeing Air Museum when I was in Seattle. That was just the coolest thing.
Can't see your reference photo.
Got a little bit of this nostril on the other side showing. Let me take a look at it. Pardon? The right eye. I'm getting all sorts of advice. I do think it needs to be a little bit darker. I'm going to take a little, this is, look at how much paint I've got on. I want to lighten this up just a little bit. And maybe it's a little too hard on that outside edge. Yeah, it really is. That's going to go dark all the way out. Oh. I like that.
David, could you move things over? We're losing the color. Yeah,
Move the painting right out.
there, thank you.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right, is that better? Okay, good. A little bit of yellow there. What's that look like? It's not bad. Now, I'm running the risk now of starting to overpaint. You know what I mean? Okay, that's enough of the nose. I'm almost done. Anything on the outside, I think. Oh, and I was going to do some of the wrinkles. Am I leaving what? No, the blue tape is going to come off. That's got to come off.
That's the icing of the cake.
So when will you take the blue tape off?
The last.
In just a few minutes. Just a few minutes. Now, as these wrinkles get, where the wrinkles are deep, you have a darker value, but when they get up closer to the surface of the temple, they get a little bit lighter. A little more tea-like. I think a little more yellow. There's a deeper wrinkle right here. Okay. Okay, let's take off some tape. I want something to happen here. Otherwise, that tape is going to not do anything of any significance. So I think I'm going to take some of my yellow. Just do that. While that's drying.
What do you put on, when do you do the straw?
The what?
The straw.
Oh, the straw, yeah, and I was going to get that out. Okay, let's do that.
You're gonna see that.
I'm thinking, where would be a good place to do that? Where?
Beard, maybe beard.
Where's his ear?
No beard.
Oh, beard. Yeah. Yeah, the beard. Okay. I'll go for that. Let's get some yellow. And let's get some phthalo, but not a lot. make sure it's nice and juicy. Could be better. Could be better.
From a distance.
I know another spot. One more.